There are also concerns of disruptions to air travel in the U.S. Airlines warning passengers to prepare for potential delays as thousands of TSA officers and air traffic controllers are also working without pay. The U.S. Travel Association says the shutdown could cost the American economy up to $1 billion per week. Joining me now is Stephen Farnsworth, political analyst and author of Spinner in Chief: How Presidents Sell Their Policies and Themselves. Stephen, thanks so much for being here.
Glad to be here.
So we're on day 2 of this government shutdown. Maybe seeing a little bit of political maneuvering behind the scenes, not so much, but the pressure is certainly starting to ramp up. What's the latest, at least at this point, of what we know about the shutdown?
Well, so far, everything still seems to be pretty much frozen in place. The impasse that we saw leading up to October 1 is still very much in place. Democrats want to increase the situation for resources devoted to health care, in some ways to undermine the bill, the big beautiful bill passed a while back. Republicans are convinced that they have the tailwinds for continuing to shrink the size of government. It's clearly an area that is not ready for an immediate compromise. So this could be going on for a while yet.
Yeah, and it certainly does feel that way, doesn't it? That, at least at this point, both sides sticking to their talking points, sticking to their issues, at least for right now. Was reading about some possible rumblings from Republicans, at least in a little bit, who are not so pleased with the U.S. President Donald Trump's hardball tactics and the promises possibly of layoffs as a result of this. Do you know anything about that? What have we heard, at least at this point?
Yeah, well, the public stance of both parties is very, very rigid, very fixed, that there isn't room for compromise, that the other side simply has to capitulate. Now, there are some, as you say, some uncertainty among some of the Republicans, particularly ones who are facing the voters again in 2026, that they would be punished for a lengthy shutdown. But Donald Trump, of course, is in his second and final term as president. He doesn't seem to be too concerned about the prospects of a particular anxiety on the part of individual Republicans. The way this story ends is probably going to be the way the story has ended in the past. It goes on for quite some time. It's very expensive, perhaps a week or so. People start missing paychecks. People start getting angrier and angrier. And then there's pressure for a deal. But right now, it seems like both sides are very convinced that they have the upper hand here. And there's not a sign that there's much weakening or willingness to compromise on either side.
Let's talk a little bit bigger picture if we can. So, we just touched on the possible delays in travel, TSA agents and otherwise. We talked about the border, too, between Canada and the U.S. and some delays that travelers are facing there. How much worse could this get? You talk about a week. Donald Trump oversaw a government shutdown in his first term that lasted more than 30 days. But how much worse, and what are the more of the impacts that, the longer that this drags on?
Yeah, well, the Donald Trump shutdown was the longest one of them all. Normally, they're a week or so. But the dynamic here is that the longer this goes, the worse that it gets, right? I mean, if people want to go to get their passports renewed, if they want to go to a national park, if they want to go to a historic site in this country, all these things are closed or going to be almost immediately because there aren't people who are still on the payroll, who are out there cleaning the trash or providing security. Clearly, the defense, national security operations are still in place in the United States, but it's clearly going to be very, very painful for anybody who wants something. If you're about to start getting a retirement account from Social Security, if you're thinking about the need to get a government loan or government payback, whatever the government does, if it isn't national security and defense, you better call before you go because you can expect to be disappointed during this shutdown.
Stephen Farnsworth, political analyst and author of Spinner in Chief: How Presidents Sell Their Policies and Themselves. Thanks so much for taking some time for us.
Thank you.